Oh, thank you, Tony. You know what? Welcome to February. Hey, folks, are you warm yet? Some of us have traveled south. Some of us, no, not so much so. Some of us have traveled, but closer to the epicenter of the Ottawa area. And that's hence the birthday notification and the ostrich notification and all the other things that came up. So if that sounds intriguing, that really sounds intriguing. Come on into the Phoenix group. I'm going to share a website. You can hit a link and go ostrich. Who's Emmanuel? What's that all about? So here we go. We're going to share a screen, and it's going to talk about how to get into this box of fun, and that's kind of the key. So pbex.ca is the website, and we'll look at that. Eric is the member of the week, and you click the card here. In fact, Eric is speaking today, so you'll get to hear more about what he does and the wisdom contained therein. And there's a little video of him talking about his accounting practice. Here we go. That little red button right here, the top of the list, Bell's Corners edition. 8 to 9 Eastern every week, except for holiday weeks. Click here, you come right in. And we have a Wednesday morning edition, 8 to 9, and a Thursday morning, South End group. So East End, South End group. Thursday afternoons, 1 to 2. And February 24th is the after hours group. And that's about staying accountable. So if you've got goals, you want someone to kind of just remind you, kind of a nudge. Not so much a taskmaster, but it's just get that encouragement to stay on target. That's kind of the cool things. Upcoming member events. So, you have something that's coming up that you're hosting or that you're part of, fire it in there. And in fact, we'll talk a little later on how that gets loaded into the system. Canada Growth Network, hey, they're showing up at 1 p.m., free to attend. That's 1 hour Eastern, from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll talk about who's going to be a little later on, who's going to be speaking at that event. East Tradewinds. Oddly enough, Eric is the speaker today. And oddly enough, tomorrow at East Tradewinds, so is Eric. Oh, you know what? Canada Growth Network. You know what? That's going to be Kat. Kat's talking today. Yeah, yeah. I didn't miss that timing up, right, Kat? It's today, right? Not next week? Yeah, okay, good. All of a sudden, all the different names start rolling around. So Kat's speaking today. So, if you want to hear more about what Kat does, come on in. East End at Hive. We're meeting in person on February 18th. It'll be on Zoom, so if you can't make it at 7:30 a.m., uh, it's okay. But if you show up, come on in. It's at 1745 Courtwood. There's parking at the back of the building, easy access. South End Group, they too are meeting on January 29th. I think that's past. Edit. Last Thursday of the month of February. We're going to be meeting in person. And come on in. And it'll also be on Zoom. QR directory for all members. So you hear someone talking today going, want to know more about that? Maybe the ostriches, maybe the birthday. Who knows? Click there. You might find that connection in there. And part of the membership of being part of this, other than having some interesting conversations first thing in the morning, is you get an e-card. An e-card's an easy way it's a digital business card. Really super easy way to get your information out there. Makes it easier for clients to find you or cross-connect with other members. Amount of business conducted between us. We've been running at this for almost a decade now. January 14th, 2016, a decade plus, almost a half a month. $4.9 million worth of business. That's really good. And since January, we've done 1,400 in referrals between members. Side note, please do send your stats into Tony. So if you conducted business with another member, reach out to Tony, send him a text message. You don't have to get the nitty-gritty details, but just the overall stats. And I'm going to stop my share because Tony is going to give the educational minute. Tony, the boom's over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Bernie. I want to talk a little bit about BAMs. These are opportunities that happen between the meetings. In other words, when we are meeting like we are right now, this is great to reconnect and just get that energy going for the day. But the real business and the real connection comes when we meet each other between the meetings. So when we get together, one of the first things I want to know is, even if I know somebody and they've been with Phoenix for quite a while, has anything changed? Like, you might have moved, you might have gone to a different brokerage, you might have gone to a different company, you have new products in, you have a new service that you're adding, you're taking away a service, and I want to confirm all the things that you don't want. Like, if we had a photographer, do you want weddings? And some photographers will definitely not want weddings. And I wonder why, because that's a completely different direction altogether. And then once you've got that, you want to be able to find out what other ways that they would have in their I guess Rolodex, it's an old way of saying all the people that you know that might be interested in what I do. And so when I'm talking to somebody, I want to make sure that they understand what I am looking for. In other words, if I'm trying to appear on a podcast or something, do you know someone who has a podcast that I could appear on? And he says, oh. And what happens is when you start thinking about the things that they want and the things that you want, and there's some kind of collaboration there, all of a sudden, in energy, when you go through 68 seconds of thinking about one thing, other things start coming into play. Every 17 seconds, our whole thought patterns change. When we get to 68 seconds, we go to a different place. It says, actually, I do know somebody the other day that they said, but I didn't think that was something that you wanted. And I says, well, tell me about it. In other words, you're looking at the when you're spending 15 minutes, half an hour. In my case, when people come, sometimes Kelly stayed for about 2 hours or something the other day on a BAM. Was wonderful. It was great to see her and be able to go through some of the new goals that I have, and the new goals are insane. And this is why I need people to be able to look at those things. But here's the hidden gem in all of this. When people see that you are in this growth mode, that you are in whatever pattern that you're in, it actually changes their pattern. Because you can't have one person that's thinking, okay, I just want enough money just to pay the rent and just to put a little food in the fridge, right? That's a certain vibration. And then you look at a person that's thinking, okay, how many fridges can I buy in a house so that there's food everywhere? Or, they're just different things you could talk about. But you're talking about a different level of conversation. And that person takes on that same quality. They start realizing, oh, wait a second, I'm thinking way too low. I got to think bigger. And this way, both parties benefit. You find out what they want, and then so on. That's why these BAMs are so important. Even though you might have seen somebody a while back, maybe something has changed. But realize that in Phoenix, it's not what we can provide, like one person. It's the 400, 500, or 600 people that you might know that might be able to be interested in getting a mortgage, interested in getting their accounting done. And that doesn't cost anything. If you look at it, I mean, yes, I give a lot of business to a lot of members, and it's just what I do. But the real power is I have 200 core clients, and I have another over 1,000 that I kind of have acquaintances with and so on. But all businesses have that after about 10 years of business, right? So that's what you want to share is who do I know that could help this person? Because that's really where the power is. So get those, because we're starting to see the BAMs are starting to come down. When the BAMs come down, so do the referrals, even though they have nothing to do with each other. We know that when we create a BAM, it's not a sales presentation. We're not trying to get a BAM so that we could present and try and sell something. The best part is to get knowledge, just to be able to find out what the other person is doing. How much can I give? What can I do to help you? And when people see that, he said, okay, well, and then people will think, well, how can I help you, sort of thing. And when it goes back and forth like that, it's very powerful. And when we get together, it's like we can really get together with thousands upon thousands of people just with the people that we have right here. I used to be in a group that had over 75 to 80 members. Every week we met. Like, it was daunting, 80 members. And, I got very little referrals, yeah, out of that group. I was with them for about 2 years, and I got very few. Then I went with a group that had 14, and the referrals never stopped coming. So it has nothing to do with numbers. It has to do with just being cozy. When you're looking at that many people, you get lost in the shuffle. So it's not a big group you want to be in. And even trade shows. When I go to a trade show, you figure like the women's trade show that there's 15,000, 20,000 people will collect in those 2 days. I was in those shows, and it was a disaster in terms of business. But then I go to shows that were like $50, and 400 people would show. Record day. So the idea here is you want to be able to look at not so much the numbers. You want to look at who, and it's the quality of it. So the 200 people that I know have already been filtered down from the tens of thousands that I've met and I've networked with to boil it down to 200. But this is the gem. This is the diamonds. Yeah, these are the diamonds that Kelly has all around her frame. So these are the pearls. These are the great things, and they're high quality. So one of those I sent Eric very recently, and I know when Eric will be able to deal with this person, it'll be amazing because she's already gone through all of my sort of screening and everything else, and she'll be a great client for him once they connect. But that's the idea, is who do you know that will be able to help someone else? And when that happens, they'll all of a sudden say, hey, by the way, I want to see if I can come into a meeting or two. I want to see what it's like in your group. Because when we introduce new people, guess what? Another 200 people that they know will come into the group, and they can also donate to food banks. They also have a car. They also need a house. They also need social media. They also might need accounting. In other words, one person can easily help 10, 20 people just within a group because of the things that they do. And whenever I look at anything that I need, the first thing I look for is, do we have a Phoenix member that does it? That's the first thing I look for. And even if it's a little more, it doesn't matter. I want to be able to help this person in some way. It will help their expenses. It'll make it a little easier on the mortgage. I know it goes into the family. It's wonderful. So do BAMs, people, and try to bring in more people, and this will help everyone. And it's all about this collective. Okay, back to you, Bernie.
Honey, thank you so much. And here is the LinkedIn Live post feed. Put some content in there. Share your knowledge. We're going to do round robin. What's been going on in your week? What do you do? Anything special happening? And any BAMs or referrals? And I will swing over to Carol Lee and then go to Shane, because Shane's probably halfway down the pipe on the road there, walking the kids to school. Go ahead, Carol Lee. Your sound's not up.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't totally plugged all the way in. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all. And Kelly, I'm envious of your pearl frame. I'd love to have one. So please don't take that down. That looks great. With regards to us here at the Canada Food Cupboard, we've got a busy couple of weeks ahead. We are gearing up for our first pop-up thrift event of 2026. So for those of you that aren't aware, here at the Canada Food Cupboard, we are more than just food. We also provide other wraparound services to the families that we help. Pop-up thrift events are exciting for our clients and for us as well. It's a way to be able to share gently used clothes, housewares, small appliances, sporting good equipment, all that sort of stuff with families that need those items. So we're in the process now of collecting those items for our event that's taking place on February 23rd. Kat, I'll send you an email with all the details, and hopefully you can help share that information throughout the business exchange. So have a great week, everybody, and stay warm.
Carly, thank you so much. Next quick promo is, hey, I was talking about Cat being on the Canada Growth Network. There is the details, free to attend. Shane, concussion Shane. Go ahead,
Oh,
sir.
is that what you want to talk about? Okay, Bernie, we can talk about that. So obviously, I have a lot of people come in for concussion stuff, but they come in to get cleared sometimes because their team won't let them back in because they need to be cleared. And it depends on who you're seeing because sometimes some leagues only say you can only have a physician that clears them, even though there are people more qualified to clear people in that type of environment. So we often are the ones that are able to clear people. And all I want is to be cleared and stuff like that. I do, but when you have previous concussions or there are some stuff off, there's a lot of neurological things you can make better for later on. Now, preventative, like strength training of the neck is huge, as well as looking at some of the eye tracking stuff, because those are already weaknesses you have. Now, a lot of these kids are like, 10 to 20 years old, so they're pretty healthy overall. They can combat a lot of health problems, but it doesn't mean it's clean. So the next time they get injured, if they have these pathways that are a lot stronger, they can combat a lot of forces, and then they don't have a lot of pain and symptoms with that. So what I'm trying to do, guys, shh, quiet. Anyways, so it's all good when we're having them come in, but we often give them a neurological thing to go on. So it's like, here, do this eye tracking exercise, do this walking with your head movements for vestibular, do some balancing, which helps them be better for next time. We even have neural tracker, which is really helpful for peripheral vision and spatial awareness. So that's what we're trying to do with them to get them back into the world. But they always see the short term. It's like, oh, I have to come in for another appointment. That's so much money, and they're all covered for it, right? Hockey injuries under CARHA, which is HEO, Hockey Eastern Ontario, all get $500 for an injury during a hockey activity, and they don't even know this. So they already covered for $500, which is easily 2 sessions, if not more. So come in, make sure they do that. Don't look at the short term, look at the long term that you can do to prevent this stuff, because a lot of times it's way better that you prevent a concussion than to just deal with when you have it. Anyways, thanks everybody. I'm Pro Action Health and Performance, Shane Bayless. We see the results. Why shouldn't you? And for Tony, what do you think I'm going to say, Tony? Tell me the good news, Tony.
It hurts so good.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Excellent. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody. And have a great day.
John Cougar Mellencamp. Here we go.
Yeah.
So next quick promo. You got content you want to share? Kat will take care of it for you. She'll post it through the Phoenix space and all the different channels. So leverage that. And again, another reason why becoming part of Phoenix is a good thing. I'm going to swing the mic over to the birthday girl, Kelly, Miss Diamond.
That's right. Thank you so much. I appreciate the distinct description. So hi everyone, my name is Kelly Harrigan. I'm your local real estate agent. I service the entire Ottawa as well as Toronto area. I do things a little bit differently than most agents. My focus usually tends to be more about empowering my clients. I'm very data driven. I do all of the research and all of the information, all of the market predictions for you. But my focus is really to help my client base make very clear, well-positioned decisions in moments that are very overwhelming sometimes for them, and often emotional and often confusing. So I just help bring clarity. I'm like the air conditioning whenever things are too hot. Just bring it all down, bring some clarity and bring some smoothness to the situation. That includes buying, that includes selling, that includes investing. I'm very detail driven and risk aware. I understand. I've been in your shoes. I've been through breakups and had to move. I've been through life upheavals. I've had to sell my place as a single person. I've had to buy a place. I've been through it. I get it. I've walked the walk, so I understand you. I have a few listings that are pretty interesting right now. If you're interested, I've got a beautiful historic condo available in the Glebe, 268 First Avenue, number 1B. This is in a literal historic building. And these units come up very, very rarely. So it's perfect for someone who wants to be in the area. It was brought to my attention that a lot of people will buy a condo in Ontario so that they can continue to work and benefit from some of the healthcare purposes. So that's a whole consideration that I'd like to highlight. I have a lease in Brampton, Ontario, and I have a investment property legal duplex already income generating. It's just plug and play if you want to make some money in Niagara Falls. So reach out to me. Let me know what you're trying to achieve. I've got a lot of reach, a lot of coverage, and a lot of experience. I should be able to help you. And if not, I'll find someone who can. That's it.
Kelly, thank you so much. Next quick plug is about Eric Sonego and him talking at East Tradewinds tomorrow. So if you want to get more depth and meet more folks, come on in tomorrow, 8 to 9 Eastern. And I'm going to swing the mic over to Jacqueline, and then Tony, and then Kat. Jacqueline, over to
Good
you.
morning, everyone. I know what a beautiful morning it was. You did open the door, you did lift your shoulders, you took them back and you released them down, and you recognized that we're just coming out of the first full moon of the season, and that was on February 1st. First full moon, I will tell you, as I continue to sit tall, it's about releasing what no longer serves you, and it's about preparing for your next cycle. It was also the first rate announcement of 2026. It was actually in January. And it was Bank of Canada who was saying, we're going to hold the rates. We're going to hold our Bank of Canada rates at 2.25. And so while that is thoughtful for Bank of Canada, it wonders what it has to do with us. It is about the uncertainty. It's about the heightened uncertainty, and it's about what we continue to monitor in risk. So it doesn't matter if you're Bank of Canada or all of us here, it's all about monitoring risk. And that's what I do. I help you monitor your mortgage and yoga risk. I coach for clarity, not correction, because people don't need fixing. People just need space to reconnect, re-energize, and find their inner wisdom. So stretch your finances, align your wealth with your mortgage money. Oh my goodness, I meant to say, when you're looking for strategies for your mortgage money, take that breath and contact your mortgage honey.
Any BAMS referrals?
Friday. I have a BAM on Friday. I'll tell you
Excellent.
all about it. Thank you,
And
Bernie, for Tuesday. Thank you, Tony, for Friday.
and you have an event coming up on the 11th, no?
I do. I get to have that speaking engagement, talk about money and yoga HELOCs. I was asked to talk about home equity lines of credit. And it's funny how I just talked about Bank of Canada holding their rates. Maybe that's something you want to consider, whether you're refinancing or buying a new property with Kelly, or whether you're deciding you need to have services with Kat because she's amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. Come one, come all.
Jacqueline, thank you so much. The next item I'm going to promote is that Mike Wazowski can do a stand-in, not comic, but stand-in. You can't make a meeting, he can be in there for you and represent you. He can be funny. He's not dry. He's not all serious, but he can be standing in for you. Tony, and then Kat. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bernie. Well, I am just over the top happy with the way the everything's working out with the Year of the Horse. This is the Chinese New Year that's coming up on February the 17th. About 2 weeks, or a little bit more than that, about 2 weeks before, that energy starts to come in. This is an incredible energy. It's a forward motion, and it just wants to get things done. On Friday at 1:30, I did about almost an hour talking about this particular energy and what it means to our lives. Okay, I've just put the podcast in the chat. Take a look at it. All right. If you have a chance just to listen to the various things, we went through so much stuff. There's feng shui stuff in there that will help you. But it is all about just letting the stuff go, and whether you shoot low thinking that, okay, this is what my goal is for this year, or whether you shoot high, like it's some insane, you're going to get them both. So this is going to really test your inner limits as to what you think you can do. So if you had a choice between getting one or the other, which one would you choose? And sometimes people will hesitate because all of a sudden the old patterns come in. Well, if I choose this, that's a little more than I think I can do. And that the horse doesn't do any of that. Okay, it just rides through. All right, you just got to hold on. The one excerpt I had in there is that when you're riding a horse, those of you that do ride horses, horseback riding or whatever, what happens when you don't go with the rhythm of the riding? When the horse goes up and you go down, it's like you're off that horse. In other words, there's a certain rhythm in getting a hold of this. And this is where you got to totally release any inhibitions, any limits, any limitations you've ever been taught. That's what they are. All limits have been taught. You didn't come in with those. And just to be able to challenge yourself, okay, I'm just going to trust this, and you just go, and you will be amazed at what you're going to be able to accomplish this year. So it's all about just letting it go, and not to pull the reins. That's what some people will do when they start really doing well. When the sales are coming in, they're thinking, okay, the other shoe is going to drop. And that's what you got to be careful, because as soon as you pull those reins, oh my God, you could go right down to zero, and then you're starting from nothing. It's a bit like pushing a car that is out of gas. You're trying to push it, and you get a good momentum going, right? You finally, after the 10 minutes of pushing it, and it's just going so slow, and then you get a good momentum. Now it's going a little bit down the hill, and then someone hits the brakes. You're starting over. So yeah, this is a real challenge for what you think you're going to be able to do. So that like one thing, if the food bank, if all of the people there realize, what did we do last year? Well, let's double it in terms of the people that will come and donate. And it's that mindset. You said, well, that's way more than we think we have, like 5% or 10%. Yeah, the horse doesn't do any of that. It usually goes double, triple in that way. So it's all about, and it's hooked up to your limits and mentality. So this year, look at your goals, okay, and choose what you think is going to be a phenomenal year, okay? You get that in your head, and then multiply it by 3 and see what your reaction is, because that's exactly the momentum of what this fire horse does. And in the podcast, it talks a little bit more about why it's doing that and so on, and all the times in history where things have really happened, and it's all been massive, massive changes. So, Tony Jennis from Higher Self, I'm here to raise your spirits in any way I can. You just come ride with the horse with me. Ongoing business with Josh, with Eric, and I have a BAM with, I believe it's Susan McGarry, and let's see, yeah, it just those are going on, and yeah, I'm working on another referral for Shane. Somebody came in and they said they fell on the ice, but they fell forward and they hit their head as they came down. So I'll see if I can keep working on them, Shane, for that, to have them come in to see you. Okay. Other than that, have a great week.
Wow. Tony, that person might need a dentist.
Yeah. I wish he had one.
So, with that all said, something a little lighter on the feet. 1745 Courtwood at Hive. They're joining us on Mondays shortly to be the representation for the catering component, and also you can meet us there and it's a good place to host a BAM. All right, so if you want to go for a road trip, have a chat. The kind of the hidden pearls in that, you can rent a space for $70 an hour and have a conference room with digital tech around you and a supportive staff. And if you haven't been and you want to do a BAM with me, let's go. I'll take you for a road trip. No commitments. It's more like just getting used to a new space. Kat, what are you up to, ma'am?
Hey everybody. So my world right now is in Bernie's kind of world. I've been hiding in Go High Level because I'm doing a lot of things, onboarding a lot of people and making sure that they can have not only their contacts in, so they can do things like send their birthday messages and do their social media content, but also things like building landing pages. What else am I doing in there? Setting up SMS text messaging, templates for emails, all kinds of magical tools that do what Tony says when you want to get off on that horse and make it run. That's what I'm doing. I'm setting people up so that they can go and gallop through the 2026 with their business. So if you or anybody you know knows nothing about CRMs or wants to understand what they are or basically needs one, then please reach out to me and I will set you up, because Bernie has a phenomenal offer. And if you're missing out on it and your business could do with a CRM, my question is why? So that's probably all I've got for you just now, Bernie.
Yeah, thank you so much. And so myself, what do I do? And sometimes that befuddles some folk. So let me think of it as soft marketing. So I talk to people, I introduce people. The podcast Knack for Business is part of that soft marketing. Or over 400,000 downloads as of March of last year. So it's just bouncing and going forward. But that is carrying your message forward. And the East Trade Winds and the Canada Growth Network are a part of that. If you want to talk about the Go High Level if you're a Phoenix member, you have the Black Friday special from last November still active. And if you're joining in from the outside in and want that special, there you go. It's a 39, a dollar the first month, and then do the taste test, and then if you like it, carry on. And there's enough support because Kat's in the environment. She can help you square pieces up. And also Percy Barr, who's one of my colleagues, he can also give you more depth in that space. But that's what I do. It's also about soft marketing, sharing the message of what you're doing. Because sometimes when you have an ad and it's like, yeah, and you're one of many, there you go. I'm going to stop talking because you know what? Our star, our accounting star, the shining star, Mr. Eric Sonego, the mic's over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bernie. That introduction and $1.75 will buy me a cup of coffee at McDonald's. Eric Sonego of Cote and Associates Professional Corporation. We are accountants, management consultants. We have several divisions for investments, for U.S. taxes. We have an office in Dallas. We have an office in Vancouver. We have an office in Manitoba. We are talking to Alberta accountants to join us. We have 3 offices in Ontario. We are expanding in Quebec and in the Maritimes. We here in Ottawa will be the tax center of those offices because we have, over the last few years, developed a tax knowledge that some other accountants don't have or don't have the time to have. Because a lot of things in accounting is having the time to improve yourself, and if you don't have the time, you cannot do it. So in light of that, today I'm going to talk to you about the things that are going in the minds of the CRA and what's going through their heads. And one of the things that they are trying to do desperately is invoke Section 160 of the Tax Act to the most possible people they can. And the Section 160, for those of you who have been married, divorced, or reviewed by the CRA, the Section 160, the section that deals with attribution rules. Now, attribution rules mean exactly that. I attribute something to someone who did not do anything yet. Usually that used to be a spouse. The spouse did not work in the business, but the other spouse decided to do tax planning with the spouse and divert money to that spouse without the spouse working in the business, or with working, let's say to, answering the phone, but making $200,000 a year, for having an imbalanced type of employment. So Section 160, the section that goes back to the business, to the owner of that business, to the spouse that did it, and says, no, all of those payments you get to your spouse and children and all that for working in the business are really your income and should be taxed in your hands. And that's Section 160. The other thing that happens with Section 160 is, let's say you are incorporated and you pay yourself dividends. And after several years, you go out of business, and you may go out of business because sales were not very good. You may go out of business because you're retired, and you forgot to pay your GST and employment taxes, maybe for the last quarter of that life of that business. But because you pay yourself dividends, you are no longer an employee of the business. You're also a spouse of the business under Section 160. You have the same relationships as a spouse would have. And you become personally liable for all the monies that the business owed to the CRA that comes from trust accounts like payroll, GST, those kinds of taxes. I want to share my screen because I have some other things to show you. Let's see, where is it? Share.
Your address is there.
Yeah, but I have other.
But wait, there's more.
Okay. So tax issues facing business. This is all in light of Section 160. Capital gains, employee-employee relationships, and new things that are coming through the CRA. And if you deal with construction businesses, that would apply more to Jacqueline and to Kelly, that have connections with people who are building homes and people who get mortgages for those homes. If you have a customer or a client that renovates a house, gets a mortgage from you, lives in the house for 6 months, goes back to you and says, I am going to buy another house, gets another mortgage from you, sells that house, moves to the other house, and so on, that person is in the crosshairs of the CRA, because that person is no longer able to justify that they have a personal residence. They have investment properties. And investment properties under that guise will be taxed as regular business income and not as capital gains, which means you'll be taxed on 100% of the gain and not on 50% only. Now, that seems to be science fiction for most of you here, right? But no, I have 5 clients who got caught with that. And this is before we merged and we were a bigger firm. This is when we were just us in Ottawa. We have 5 clients. Why? Greed. Because they wanted to have a capital gains situation when they should not have had one. Most people that buy a personal residence buy it, and unless there is, some out of the way, reasons for them to sell it within a year, like death, divorce, or something like that, they stay in the house for more than 1 year. They do that because it's a pain in the neck to move from a house. Anyways, so who in their right mind is going to move every 6 months, unless you were doing something that was there to have a house. Kelly, you have a question?
I do actually.
Yeah.
So these are conversations I've had with my real estate clients before.
Yep.
And I've not actually known And I'm wondering if you do. Maybe you can help me.
Yes.
Even if we're not under contract, and I do share this amount of knowledge with them, I don't know if it falls outside of my legal purview or if I would be best. What I've done is I've directed them to an accountant to get more additional information. I'm just wondering from a protocol perspective if that's the right course of action.
Yes, yeah, that would be the right. You can tell them that to be careful and to go to an accountant.
Right.
You can tell them that um, you can tell them that it's your experience that what they're trying to do um, has problems with the CRA, and they should have qualified people do their taxes, for instance.
Yeah, I usually provide with a proviso. I am not an expert.
Yes,
I'm not an
yes,
accountant. I'm not a lawyer. But from what I know, I just have to be quite careful because I don't want to misdirect or misguide anyone. And so I wanted to verify that directing them to an expert like yourself is the right channel. Thank you.
yes. Uh, I had a soccer teammate who for 10 years did this. They did renovations, move in with his wife, you know, and then sell the house and buy a house. What killed him was his driver's license, because his driver's license never changed address, and that's what killed him in tax court. So people die in tax court sometimes, figuratively death, but they die. They go. They're and that guy went against what I said. Oh, 100%. If I told him to go left, he would go right. If I told him to go right, he would go left. So finally, he hired me to go to tax court, and I told him before we went to tax court that the chances of winning was 1%, 1%. And when we went to tax court, it took, I would say, 15 minutes, because the CRA brought his driver's license and said, you haven't moved technically in 10 years, but you sold all these properties, so you were in business of selling properties, not in getting personal residence. And that's how they will mostly get you, with little things like that. I had someone in the 1990s who invented a divorce for having double the capital gain. So he said, that woman is no longer my spouse, we're divorced. And he came to me to do their taxes, and I said, like, give me the divorce papers and so on. And he gave me, over the counter, papers from the that you buy at Staples, how to do your own divorce. He did that, and him and his wife um, changed it. But one day I called him, and his daughter answered the phone, and I said to her, "Can I have your mother's phone number?" And she said, "Oh, wait, she's right here." So I said, "Okay, let me talk to your mother." And the wife didn't know she had a divorce. And he had invented all of this thing to be able to have capital gains exemption, with other people. So that was a criminal offense, and I referred them to a criminal lawyer. And I never saw him again. So I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. But that's the outmost thing that people do. But most people who are sane would not do that. So you have to be aware of real estate relationships that you know are murky, because this will come into the sight of the CRA. Now, the government wants to have more money, and it's impossible to have more money with the same group of people you're dealing with, i.e., the Canadian taxpayer. So what you do is you go to areas of weakness of the Canadian taxpayer. And the areas of weaknesses are capital gains, business expenses, and employee-employer relationships. Now, what's an employee-employee relationship? Remember, like we probably have had members like in Phoenix that are contravening the employee-employer relationship. There's none here now, but you are an IT consultant and you work for the government and you're incorporated. Well, the relationship you have with the people who pay your invoices is more of an employee nature than it is of a corporate nature. You have to show up every day. You have to sit on that screen. You have to sit in front of that screen, and you do whatever the payer wants you to do. I have 3 clients like that work with government departments, and they've already been asked twice, and I've managed to convince the government that they are real corporations. Now, what's the difference between a real corporation and a personal services corporation, which is what the government thinks they are? The personal services corporation gets taxed at around 50%. The regular corporations, the small business corporation, get taxed at 12%. So if you don't take all of the money out of the corporation, you leave money in there, that gets taxed by to 50%. The other thing is the expenses that they allow for a real business do not happen in a personal services business. You have payroll, you have professional fees, and you have 2 or 3 other expenses you can write off. The rest you can't. You cannot have advertising because you have a captive market. You have one job, one employer, one payment, that one payer. So that is easy to for the government to go after. And in our case here, because we live in Ottawa and we work in Ottawa, we've had, I would say, three or four people last year who we had to fight for, because the government thought that they had personal services businesses. The other thing you have to be careful with is non-arm's length transfers. Non-arm's length is people who are in your midst that you are tempted to use for your own tax planning. That could happen with a spouse, with a child, with an employee, maybe with someone that is related to you either by marriage or by other fashions. So that is something that will kick into Section 160, and that's something that is what the CRA probably spends 50% of the time in tax court fighting. If you go to the tax court of Canada and you sit there for a week, half of the time that you'll be there, you will hear the Department of Justice and the CRA talk about, closely related companies and Section 160 and benefits to a spouse and all that kind of stuff. The other 50% of the time, they will be talking about reasonableness of your expenses. Whether, someone who is, a real estate agent can drive 300,000 kilometers a year, right? So, and that real estate agent better come up with a log that says my market is from Ottawa to Santiago de Chile, and from Santiago de Chile to Bonn, in Germany, and I have sales in all of those areas, and I travel by car, right? So that is something that you have to prove by paper, by logbook. And if you are giving, if you're in business and you are driving for business, eating for business, and behaving in the business most of the time, like like if you're selling real estate, if you're a mortgage agent, if you are anybody else who is in a company where they have customers outside, where they have to travel to the customers. The customer doesn't come to you. It's a combination of you, they coming and you going, right? All of those people have to have, if they drive a car, they have to have a physical logbook. And we have now apps that can give you driving logbooks, that can capture you, where you're going and where you're coming. The other thing is that happens is that we need to understand what is a promotional lunch and what isn't a promotional lunch. A promotional lunch is you buy lunch and you divide it by 2, and then your portion gets divided by 2. So people, to be easy, you just divide the whole thing by 2. But that's a promotional lunch. A non-promotional lunch is you buying lunch for yourself or your spouse, and being there and just eating, and developing a system of capturing that with your receipts. That is not a promotional lunch. Now, if your spouse is part of the business, sure, but it's not a promotional lunch. I do companies that sell $5 million a year, and they have $1,100 of meals. I do companies who sell, I self-employed people who do $300,000 a year and have $10,000 in meals. Now, we always have a discussion when that happens in the office, because we tell them, how come this guy who has 15 employees and sells $5 million a year has 1,100 in meals, and you have 2 employees and you have that. So we try to preempt the government, but that's what irks the CRA. That's what they see, right? So if you're going to have 10,000 in meals, you better be documented, and you would tell them who, when, why, where, what was the name of the person, what was the name of the deal that you were working on, all of that kind of stuff. If you have $1,100 in meals, no, they're not going to come to you for that. So that's the thing. Now, if you have any of these symptoms, call us 613-254-7310.
Like the symptoms. Dr. Eric's here to fix you. Does anybody have any questions for Eric? We're at 9:01, and so
Eric.
it'll have to be a short one.
Quick question. You said that you need physical logbooks, but then you said that you can use an app. Did you mean it must be physical, or is a digital logbook acceptable?
It can be digital if you can print it.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Excel spreadsheets. Thank you, Eric.
Okay. You're welcome.
Or a PDF.
Yes.
Yeah.
Folks, Eric, thank you very much. Very, very insightful. It covers a lot of bases. Don't divorce your wife without telling her. It's really
Yeah, I
important.
think that would be one of the things. I would let her know first.
Yes.
Well,
Oh my God. That's almost unbelievable,
it's
Don't,
like
don't fool yourself thinking that I am in a nonprofit organization. There's not going to be any Section 160. I sit on nonprofit organizations as the guy in finance, and they have to give me proof that they have paid their payroll, so that I can assure to the board that there's no Section 160 issues that are going to come once they leave the board. Don't hide behind nonprofitness, because that is not
Ah.
You know, that's not going to keep away the CRA.
The wolves.
Nonprofit doesn't mean you don't make any money.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
closes out with a quote for the day. A bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere until you change it.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean,
But
you
it's only
can,
flat
but
on one side.
you can. It just be yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's only the bottom that's flat. Everything else is fine.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.